You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Tigers beat New Mexico 38-0. A game that needn't be eventful wasn't eventful. There were some things, some changes, but I think the overall thesis coming out of this game has to be, inarguably, over the 4 weeks that we have seen, or the 4 games we have seen this football team, they have unquestionably improved. And a lot of it is this coaching staff figuring out its team as they move along, but they have undoubtedly improved in areas across the board. That does not mean they are perfect. And I do not want to overvalue wins over Southern, Mississippi State, and New Mexico. Because if you do that, then you get an inflated sense of self-worth in what you think this team is or could be, and you're going to be disappointed. As a matter of fact, Brian Kelly did say today when he met with reporters that, look, there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times coming up down the road. We'll get to plenty of what Brian Kelly had to say. But he's right. I mean, you're a team that is certainly improving, but you're also a team that struggles to run the football. You're a team that continues to have issues with special teams. You're a team that's had to battle some injuries now as well. And you continue to have self-inflicted wounds in the red zone. So there's a lot of that, but even with all of that, 38-0. Y'all, the biggest takeaway from this game has got to be the defense. Coming out of spring, my 2 big takeaways were, 1, Jayden Daniels was going to be the quarterback. 2, the defense was better than I thought. And so far, Jayden Daniels has been the quarterback. And look, I'm telling you, if you ask me my 2 big takeaways, it was it. And clearly, the defense is even better than I thought they would be. I don't care who you play. You shut a team out, hold them to 2 first downs and 88 yards of total offense. That's dominant. And that's without Major Burns and B.J. Ojolari. I mean, it's massively impressive what they were able to do defensively on Saturday night against New Mexico. And that's one of the reasons why you keep playing defensively that way. That defense is going to keep you in almost every game you play and give you a chance to win almost every game you play. A couple of takeaways from the game itself. We did get to see, because of the opponent and circumstance, some changes. Harold Perkins got a start, and he looks awesome. I mean, Harold Perkins in that ball game was your leading tackler with 8. He continues to impress because of the offense New Mexico ran, the kind of like option out of the pistol. LSU ran a more traditional 4-3. You had Jones, Penn, and Perkins all on the field to start. So you've seen Perkins now start inside and outside, and he just continues to flash all over the field, which is so encouraging to see. We got to see Sevyn Banks for the first time in his LSU career. Richardson and Jark Bernard-Converse started, but by the second series, Sevyn Banks was on the field, playing at the right cornerback spot, and looked good. It was good to see number 1 get out there and run around and give you more depth at the cornerback spot. Jack Besh is clearly your new punt returner. He returned one for a touchdown, which was negated by penalty, as we all well saw. But that's a sure-handed guy that's also explosive enough to make plays. We saw Chris Hilton. LSU only got to return 1 kickoff in the game. It was the opening kickoff of the second half, but that was Chris Hilton who got to do the honors. You want to talk about a guy that has legit track speed, game-breaking potential. Chris Hilton is one of those guys, but in a log jam at receiver, it's been hard to get him targets. Well, this is a good way to get him the ball in his hands. So they're finding ways to get guys involved. Anthony Bradford was back at right guard and started, so I think it's safe to say now you've got your starting 5 on the offensive line with Campbell, Dellinger, Turner, Bradford, and Emory Jones, barring injury, which we hope we don't see. It seems like they're good with that being their first 5 moving forward. Both the young tackles played really well for the second consecutive game. we got to see Garrett Nussmeier for an extended period in the second half when LSU was up 17-0, and I'll get into some of the game in just a second, what is relevant. But LSU's up 17-0. It's their second possession of the second half. LSU's facing a 4th and 3 from their own 45. Jayden Daniels runs for 16 yards. And really, it was a play where he could have gotten 3 yards and gone down, but he fought through some contact and tried to gain more yardage. He ultimately got slung to the ground, and as Brian Kelly explained, had sort of a lower back aggravation. Left the game. Garrett Nussmeier came in. Daniels was cleared to return, but at that point, as Brian Kelly said, there was no point in putting him back out there. So I thought Nussmeier in this game exercised some of the, I don't want to say demons, but of the poor play against Southern. Nussmeier was 9 of 10 for 135 yards and a score. The score and 57 of those yards came on a screen pass to Brian Thomas that he took to the house, which continues to illustrate why you've got to continue feeding the ball to Brian Thomas. He is just a physical guy who has a dynamic skill set. If you need him to get tough yardage with strong hands, he can do it. If you need him to go over the middle, he can do it. If you need him to make a play in space and be a game breaker, he can do that as well. So, man, you didn't have Kayshon Boutte, but you still continue to distribute the ball. Thomas, Neighbors, Jenkins, Hilton, Besh, Lacey, Mason Taylor, Josh Williams, Cole Taylor, Armani Goodwin, 10 players in all caught a pass on Saturday. They are finding ways to get a lot of different players involved, which is fantastic to see. You may not have the one guy with 80 catches and 1,200 yards, but what you are going to have is a lot of guys get involved, and that's really good to see because at any given day or moment on a given game, there's a lot of different guys on the field that can beat you or that can help you. If you're LSU, they can help you win a game. The sequence that was in the second quarter is really where the game changed. LSU was up only 10-0. They got into a 3rd and 6 situation at the 14-yard line earlier in the game. It was a miscommunication where it looked like Jayden Daniels expected Malik Neighbors to sit in the zone, and he was open. Neighbors continued the route. It was incomplete. Same thing happened last week with Mason Taylor. You hope you get those things ironed out. But LSU makes a field goal to go up 10-0. The next drive was just that was where you had Jack Besh's 76-yard punt return negated by penalty, which was a terrible rule, but a good call based on the verbiage of the rule. I would compare it similarly to how I feel about targeting. The spirit of the rule is good. You're trying to eliminate dangerous plays, but what happened on that punt return should not have been flagged for 15 yards. But by the letter of the rule, it was a good call. But you went tempo. You get down into a goal-to-go situation after Daniels runs on 3rd and 4. They get the personal foul for the late hit out of bounds. LSU's in the goal-to-go situation. Josh Williams runs for 9 yards. You should have 2nd and goal from the 1. Instead, holding on Cole Taylor. So you're back to the 19. You throw a 10-yard pass to Besh. Then Taylor gets in the end zone, but it's a PI on Malik Neighbors. Then you take a sack. It's 3rd and goal from the 32. You get 11 yards. You line up for a 38-yard field goal, and you miss it. That was a dreadful scenario, and it's one of those situations where you're in a game and you're going, okay, LSU has dominated this game, but you're one scoop and score, pick six, some busted coverage away from being in a 10-7 ballgame. And that's the recipe to be in a tight game with a team that has no business being in a tight game. But to the defense's credit, they came out, they get the stop, offense gets the ball back, and they go on a 15-play, 88-yard drive that chews up almost 6 minutes. And ultimately, Armani Goodwin got in. On that drive, LSU converted a 4th and 1, and Josh Williams went for 13 yards. They converted a 3rd and 4 to Jeray Jenkins for 16 yards, and a 3rd and 7 to Jeray Jenkins for 19 yards, and then ultimately scored on 3rd and goal. So they converted a 4th and 1 and 1, 2, 3 third downs on that drive. So, man, it was that was impressive. It got you up 17-0, and then you never really looked back in the second half. So all things considered, you got a lot of guys work. You continue to improve in areas where you needed to. You got more young guys' experience, and you could feel this team starting to build a little bit of confidence as they've now won 3 in a row after a disappointing start against Florida State. And now, for the first time all season, they'll get on a plane, and they'll go on the road to take on Auburn. First road conference game of the season. And Tigers have a great opportunity, as I don't know if you've noticed, but that game opened at 7.5. LSU 7.5. It's up to 9 as of right now at 3:13 Central Time on a Monday, and it probably will continue to climb. So, LSU is going to be a big road favorite against an Auburn team that is floundering right now. A lot to do this week as we'll talk about Auburn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.